对于我们来说的话，因为主场在中国，观众给我们的欢呼声肯定会更大，我们会更有动力。但其实如果输了比赛的话，我们压力也会更大，而且想要在中国留下一个冠军。
You know, this is it. This is what everyone works for, like as a pro player, is to play at Worlds and just play against the best and prove yourself as one of the best.
第3次来到世界赛，然后我觉得我自己跟第1次比起来已经成熟很多，就是无论在一些 call 的决断上跟一些操作方面，我都觉得比 S5第1次来世界赛的时候好很多。
At MSI, TSM split games with Flash Wolves, and now I'm on the team, and I think we're a lot better. So, yeah, I guess we'll see if I can back it up.
Yesterday's loss against GAM wasn't as maybe heartbreaking as other losses might be. I feel like this will only be a one-time thing.
Em nghĩ là họ sẽ xui dài dài.
当我们在分组里面遇到 SKT 的话，一开始会觉得有一点难吧，因为每一年打 S 赛 SKT 都特别强。
네, 그렇게 딱히 뭐 일이라고 어떤 감정은 없는데 저희랑 잘 붙네요.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Wuhan, China for more battles in the 2017 Worlds Group Stage. We're ready for an action-filled day as the teams in Group D get ready to step on stage. Here, of course, you see all of the fans that have packed the arena today to watch our 6 games that'll take place. Plenty of fandom for the Chinese teams, of course, but we even heard some TSM chants earlier today, some scenic views of the beautiful Wuhan, China, which is playing host to us the next couple of weeks. It's been a fabulous day in the city so far. Look forward to the rest of the days remaining here for us. Of course, our international partners are also joining us. We've got China and Brazil here to cover and send it out to the rest of the world. Hello, and I'm James Dash Patterson here with Zach, Rusty Pie, Alberto Crumbs Rangifo, and Joshua Jat. Ladies and gentlemen, big day of games yesterday. We had a couple upsets, a couple surprises, but overall, very exciting. Are you guys ready for day 2?
So ready, just so ready. The Ardent Sensor at first was a little disheartening, but then it just got blown right out of the water. We got to see everybody break the meta. That really mattered. GAM, DGAM, as well as Longzhu.
Absolutely, those guys are rock stars. We're going to see the rest of the teams play out today. We've got our first view of the group stage yesterday with reigning champions SKT and AHQ Esports pulling ahead in Group A. Over in Group B, Longzhu Gaming and the GPL's Gigabyte Marines hold the lead, while Samsung and home favorites RNG picked up their first wins in Group C. Now, it was a triumphant start for the LCK teams yesterday as Longzhu and SKT Samsung seem to have full control over their competition.
Yeah, a 3-0 start from the Korean sides. No one's surprised, honestly, that they were 3-0, but to a degree, there might be some surprise for the Korean rosters, as ultimately, they started so well.
So the one surprise for me was actually Longzhu's bottom lane. We expected this team to have some falters in their rookies, but to Gorilla admit that had nerves in the bottom lane, had a real rough start, 0 front karma, but eventually they brought it back.
Exactly, they bounced back in a big way. You can see them inside the base winning the game before 28 minutes. So yes, it was a slight rough start, but we've seen way rougher starts from Korea. We've seen them drop games, multiple games before. This was one of the best starts they've had.
Right, so the 3-0 start for Korea, that's going to feel nice for them. The teams in the LCK, they found their form. It was a tougher start for the NALCS and the EU LCS teams, a combined 0-4 for these Western squads.
Yeah, and it's one day of group stage of 8. And I feel like specifically for the North American teams, both having to play up against the Korean teams in their group on day 1, that's not the best schedule draw or representation of their skills. So I actually think North America can go 3-0 today based on the schedule getting easier for them. I think it's a real possibility.
All right, well,
very big call. That's a very big call. Of course, G2, someone else we have to quickly talk about. They played against the other Korean team, which is the unfortunate start for both EU and NA, but they pulled out the Ivan. And what I'm liking from all the teams, even though they lost from the West, is sticking to strategies.
Right, well, half of the West of NA can do well, but Fnatic was the one that was up against the Gigabyte Marines, and sure, they felt like maybe their preparation was not quite as well, that maybe that loss was not going to be as hard as it could have been, not as disheartening, but there wasn't much for Fnatic to feel good about themselves for that one. So this day one will be today.
Absolutely. Our surprise team from MSI, the Gigabyte Marines, they took down Fnatic in that first game and looked to leave their mark on Worlds 2017 one way or another.
Yeah, and as surprised as Fnatic felt against this, it was a slight tweak to a strategy we saw a lot of at MSI. They lane swapped at their last major international event against NA and EU opponents. So they played it better this time. This was an evolution of the strategy because they had late game insurance and Ardent Sensor and Powered Trist, but they just actually executed very well in the early game.
And the execution was coupled by tremendous preparation, looking at the draft, expecting what Fnatic would go with this Ardent Sensor meta, knowing how to play around their junglers, specifically Levi, always a carry for this team. And so when they're up against Longzhu today, I think that they have a lot more to bring to the table.
All right, well, today it's time for the teams in Group D to start their road to the quarterfinals. Kicking things off with the clash between TSM and the Flash Wolves. From there, Misfits Gaming, they're going to make their international debut against Team WE before the teams in Group B and A step back on stage.
And of course, it means that a Western team's got to get a victory today, dash in game number 3 when Immortals play against Fnatic. If nothing else, that's exciting for the West. Take it when you can.
Yeah, guaranteed victory for NA or EU. And I do want to elaborate a little bit on my claim that North America is going to go 3-0 today, because what I saw from them yesterday was them sticking to their domestic style and being confident in doing so. For Immortals, it actually worked against Longzhu by getting 4 deaths onto Gorilla early on in the game. For Cloud9, it didn't work, but it has worked so many times for them in the past. Faker is not going to be on every opponent team. I feel like it is much easier to camp mids in the rest of the group, or at least generate pressure through that area of the map. So from what I saw in the losses, I'm still pretty confident about their ability to win today.
Yeah, the region style seems to be there from NA, and I agree with that. Of course, TSM, the one team we haven't seen, so the 3-0 still may be up in the air for that one, but I agree from what we've seen of NA and some of EU, maybe not Fnatic, they have looked like they've been able to keep that style on the world stage.
Well, either way, it's about time for us to get into the game, so we've got Pastry, Kobe, and Vedius ready for our first game. And as we head over, Bjergsen tells us how Worlds has been a year-long process for TSM.
I think during the split, a big meme that came up was like, oh, TSM is just practicing for Worlds, but that was a real thing, not just playing what was going to net us wins, but actually playing what might be meta by the time Worlds comes around, and we have to be able to play comps that we're uncomfortable playing or we're not used to playing or just doesn't play to our strengths at all. And that combined with always working on the root problems rather than, the short-term fix that's going to net us wins. I think we had a lot of grueling conversations within the team, even when we were winning, because we noticed small things that just have to be better. And it's very stressful in a team environment, but we recognize that throughout the entire split, it was like, it's not about winning NA, it's about going to Worlds and doing well. So I think our mindset this year has been a lot better for that.
Thank you, Ashley.